Hollywood forced Leonardo DiCaprio to hide the truth for over 2 decades, why he never allowed himself to be with Kate Winslet. But now, after years of silence, he's finally breaking free, and what he just revealed is devastating, because it turns out their story wasn't just about friendship, timing, or chemistry. It was about the brutal realities of fame, pressure, and the painful choice he never wanted to make. And once you hear the real reason he walked away, you'll never look at Leonardo and Kate the same way again. When Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet were cast in Titanic, they were just 2 young actors trying to make a name for themselves. But what happened on that set would change their lives, and the way the world saw them forever. The moment they appeared on screen as Jack and Rose, something clicked. You could feel it. The chemistry wasn't just acting, it was magnetic, authentic, too raw to be rehearsed. Fans didn't just love their characters. They believed them. They believed them. And it didn't stop when the cameras stopped rolling. Behind the scenes, they were laughing between takes, finishing each other's sentences, leaning on each other during one of the most grueling film shoots of the decade. James Cameron pushed them to their limits. Cold water, emotional breakdowns, sleepless nights. And through all of it, Leo and Kate stayed close. Closer than most co-stars ever get. But as the world watched them rise to superstardom, something else was happening behind the scenes. Something they never spoke about publicly. The pressure to turn their friendship into a headline romance was everywhere. Studios, tabloids, and even industry insiders pushed them. You two should date. It's what the fans want. But Leo, even at 22, understood what that would mean. And he made a choice. He didn't pursue it. He didn't lean in, because he wasn't just afraid of love. He was afraid of Hollywood. But there's a reason he stayed silent, and it wasn't just fear. It was survival. Years later, in a rare moment of honesty, Leonardo opened up to close friends about those early days. He revealed something few people knew, that he and Kate had undeniable feelings for each other. But in his words, the timing was poison. The kind of fame they were facing, it wasn't normal. Titanic wasn't just a movie. It became the highest-grossing film in history at the time. The entire world became obsessed with them. Their faces were everywhere. Their interviews were dissected. Their friendship was already being romanticized and repackaged into clickbait long before clickbait even existed. And behind the scenes, executives didn't mince words. Leo later recalled being warned by more than one Hollywood insider. If you date her now, you'll never escape it. Your whole career will be built around her. He was told that a romance with Kate would turn into a marketing machine he couldn't control. That it would ruin his ability to transform into different characters. He wouldn't be Jack Dawson anymore. He'd just be Kate Winslet's boyfriend. So he backed away. Not because he didn't care, but because Hollywood made him believe he couldn't afford to care. It was a choice that shaped everything that followed. And Kate, she understood, maybe more than anyone else could have, because she was being told the same thing. Their agents, their publicists, the media, everyone had an opinion about who they should be to each other. They were actors, but they weren't allowed to write their own story. And that's when they made the pact that would define the rest of their lives. The story goes that sometime after Titanic, when the chaos had settled just enough to breathe, Leo and Kate sat down and made a private promise. They wouldn't date. They wouldn't cross that line. No matter what they felt, no matter how many times the world begged for it, they would protect their friendship above all else. Kate later alluded to it in interviews, saying that their closeness worked because they never had a romantic relationship. But behind the scenes, that boundary came with a cost. Because while the world thought they were just friends, sometimes even they weren't so sure. They leaned on each other through every major moment. Breakups, career highs, personal losses. They shared private phone calls in the middle of the night. Flew across the world just to support each other. They made each other laugh when no one else could. And fans saw all of it. Those lingering glances at award shows, the hugs that lasted a little too long, the red carpet kisses that looked just a little too real. But they never crossed the line. They honored the pact, even when it hurt. Leo would later admit to friends that there were moments, fleeting seconds, when he wondered what would have happened if he had ignored the rules. if he had just kissed her, just once, if he had told her the truth. But by then, it was too late. Life had moved forward. So had Kate. And that's when Leo realized the pact that protected them might have also destroyed their one chance at something real. In December 2012, the world didn't even know Kate Winslet was getting married. It was a private ceremony, just a handful of close friends, no media, no press. But there was one guest who stood out. One man who didn't walk in as her lover, but walked her down the aisle. Leonardo DiCaprio. To the outside world, it was touching, a sweet gesture. But those who knew Leo, they said he looked shaken, distant, quiet. And years later, the truth slipped out. That moment, walking Kate to another man, giving her away, it was the closest Leo had ever come to admitting he couldn't have her. He reportedly told a friend afterward, "It felt like I was saying goodbye to something I never let myself have. And now I never will." There were no dramatic confessions, no objections, just a tight-lipped smile and a heavy heart. He smiled for her, but inside something collapsed. That night, their unspoken history hung heavier than ever. Because when you walk the person you love down the aisle to marry someone else, it's not just a loss, it's a burial. And yet, somehow, fate wasn't done pulling them back together. If the wedding marked the emotional low, then what followed was a roller coaster of unresolved tension. Because even after Kate got married, Leo and Kate continued showing up for each other in ways that made fans question everything. In 2009, Kate stood on stage at the Golden Globes after winning Best Actress and looked out at the audience. Her voice shook, and she said something that left everyone stunned. "Leo, I've loved you for 13 years. The audience laughed nervously, unsure if it was a joke. Leo smiled, but behind that smile, was there heartbreak, nostalgia, regret? They kissed on the red carpet. They hugged longer than most people do in private. And at one point, she even joked that he hated when she kissed him on the lips, but kept doing it anyway. They weren't hiding affection, but they were dancing around something deeper, always just a breath away from the truth. And then there were the gifts, like the necklace Leo gave Kate before her Time magazine cover shoot. A small gold pendant with a leaf. Simple, sentimental, something you don't give just a friend. Or the way Kate cried. Actual tears, when Leo finally won his first Oscar in 2016. She clasped her hands over her face, emotional beyond words, as he accepted the award. Their connection was undeniable, tangible, painfully visible. So when Leo was asked years later why he never dated Kate, his answer was simple and devastating. Because I couldn't risk losing her. But the truth is, he was already losing her, piece by piece. As time moved forward, the emotional toll of what they never had began to settle in. Kate's marriage to Ned Rock'n'Roll eventually faded. They split quietly, far away from the chaos of Hollywood. Leo, meanwhile, never married at all. And though they stayed close, something changed. They began seeing each other less. Life got in the way. Distance, work, new relationships. And then the pandemic hit. They didn't see each other for years. Literally years. When they finally reunited in 2021, something happened that no one saw coming. Kate broke down. In an interview, she revealed that when she saw Leo in person again after such a long time, she cried. "I couldn't stop," she said. "I had missed him so much." They didn't even do anything dramatic. They just sat, talked, caught up on each other's lives. But that moment exposed something neither of them had admitted publicly. They weren't just friends. They were soul-deep connected. And the space between them had hurt more than either of them wanted to say. Leo later said, "We don't have to speak every day, but when we do, it's like no time has passed." Still, time had passed. Years, decades. And with each one, the possibility of what could have been drifted further and further away. Insiders close to Leo have whispered for years that he called Kate the one that got away. Not in interviews, not on red carpets, but in private, when the cameras weren't rolling. That regret lingered, quietly. And in 2024, Leo finally decided to say what he had held back for more than 2 decades. It was late 2024. Kate Winslet was hosting a special screening for her latest film. It was a quiet, elegant event. Not the kind of place where scandals erupt or shocking headlines are born. But then Leonardo DiCaprio walked in. No press release, no big announcement. Just Leo, slipping into the venue with a low profile and a face that said more than words ever could. The crowd buzzed. People whispered. Cameras flicked on. Then he took the mic. And what he said changed everything. Standing in front of the audience, Leo referred to Kate not just as a friend, or a co-star, or a longtime collaborator. He called her the most honest, raw, and real person I've ever known. But that wasn't the part that broke everyone's heart. It was what he said after. He paused. His voice softened. And then he said, "There was always something between us, but we were too careful, too afraid to lose what we had." The room fell silent. Insiders say Kate looked visibly emotional, blinking back tears as Leo continued. He didn't say they were in love. He didn't say they had a secret affair. But he said enough. Enough to make it clear that something real was left unsaid for years. He admitted he held back because he didn't want to destroy the one thing that mattered most to him, her presence in his life. "I didn't date Kate," he said, "because I couldn't bear the thought of losing her. So I stayed silent. I stayed safe. And I've thought about that choice every day since. Every day." And just like that, what had always been speculation, rumor, fantasy was now fact. Leo didn't hold back because he didn't care. He held back because he cared too much. And that's the kind of love that doesn't fade. It just lingers. For years, fans wondered what really happened between Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Why they never dated. Why they never gave the world the love story it wanted. Now we know, because this wasn't a story about mischances. It was a story about deliberate restraint, about a love so deep, it never needed to be labeled. A connection so rare it had to be protected, even at the cost of everything else. Hollywood may have told Leo to hide it, but the truth always finds its way out. And now, after all these years, we finally know what that truth was. So, what do you think? Did Leo make the right choice? Or did Hollywood rob them of something real? Let us know in the comments. And if you're not done crying over this yet, click on the next video on your screen.